Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. You're watching Daddy Daughter Talk, the podcast, and I am Kelsey, and you are.
I'm Chris, Dad.
Hey, and we back with another video. What we talking about today, pops?
Let's talk about ownership. And when I say ownership, I'm not talking about possession. I'm talking about owning one's actions and the ramifications that come about from your actions.
Nice. You want to start?
Sure. What you talk about relationships a lot. And in a relationship, there are two parties. And let's say, for example, since we're talking daddy-daughter relationships, which this can apply to any relationship, you have your role and the input of the relationship, which will actually impact the outcome of the relationship. And I too have a role of input in the relationship, which will impact the output or outcome of the relationship, which we talked about super early in Daddy Daughter Talks. This is probably the first episode, if I'm not mistaken, how we used to communicate. And then we both took time to step back away from the relationship to look at the relationship from you. I took a step back to look at the relationship from your vantage point, which basically you were seeing what I was giving. And you did the same, where you sat back and looked at it from my vantage point and looked at how you would respond to what it is that I had to say or something along those lines. So we were able to then come back to the fold, looking at what we brought to the relationship. Like, yo, I could probably do this a little bit different because I can see how she, as in you, could be taking or mistaking what it is that I'm saying. Just because you received it does not mean that that's what I threw at you. But I see how you could receive it that way. So let me tweak how I give it to you or explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But we both had the opportunity to sit back and look at the big picture as far as what we were bringing to the table, how it was being received, also looking at our responsibilities. Like, hey, I need to do this differently than what it is that I was doing for the betterment of the team. And once we stepped back away from the situation to look at what we did, now we can come back into the fold with resolution instead of coming back in with a problem. Because prior to us stepping back to look at the role that we played in the relationship, we only viewed the other as a problem.
Right, right. And I like how you mentioned just basically with the communication standpoint of how sometimes we may say things and the other person perceives it differently.
Mhm.
I saw a visual not too long ago, and it's like I'll put for the viewers. I'll put a picture of it in the video. But to kind of explain it to you, it's a diagram. There's a bigger circle, and then the circle kind of gets smaller. In the biggest circle, it says what I think. In the smaller circle, it says what I can put into words. A smaller than that circle, it says what I say to other people. And the very, very smaller circle says what people actually understand. And it took for us to step back and look at that whole process. It was like, okay, well, what I originally thought and felt in my head was this. And then to know my audience and my target audience and to make sure that I'm getting it out across in a way that they'll understand where I'm coming from, I actually formulated these words. And then these were the words that I actually said, but what did they hear? And we both, as parties of this relationship, took the time to say, wait a minute, if it has to go through all of these processes and somehow we're still butting heads, either what I'm thinking is not what I'm saying or what I'm saying is not what they're hearing. So let me take the time to reword this, or let me ask more questions to make sure that I'm checking for understanding. And I think that's one thing that you did a lot. You asked me a lot of questions, and before I was just like, he asked me one more question. It's like, I get it, or I don't know. Like, it's either I'm on the I get it side or I don't know side. But what I didn't realize then was that's your way of checking for my understanding. Are we on the same page? Do you get where I'm coming from? And before, I'm just like, this man asked me one more question. But I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
when I took a step back, I'm like, he keeps asking me these same questions over and over again. So clearly, I'm missing something, or we are not on the same page. So how about not duck him and dodge him and be like, I don't know, or like, yeah, okay. Like, stop being so short-handed. Clearly, you're not getting it because he keeps asking you this same question over and over again. And so for that, on that part, it's like I took ownership in being a better listener. But then also, as we started to grow together and build this bond as daddy and daughter, your questions changed. It wasn't repetitive. What you crying for? What you crying for? What you crying for? What you crying for? It was, okay, well, that question clearly be making her mad. So it ain't, even though I'm trying to get my point across, it's not coming across. So it was, hey, how can we work better together?
Mm-hmm.
Technically asking me the same question, what is the problem? But you're rewording it. So you took ownership in noticing that I'm trying to fix this problem, but the way that I'm going about it is not working. So let me reword this situation and let me keep trying. And that's one thing that I can say is throughout our whole entire relationship, you never stop trying. Even when I'm shut down, you're like, yeah, whatever, I don't care about none of that. What's up? What's the issue? How can we fix this?
So let me ask you this question. Why do you think I never stopped trying?
I believe that, one, because you weren't ever going to stop being my dad, for one. And then two, because you were genuinely invested in the relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, it says a lot for someone, even if we keep hitting dead ends, you continuously try, because the average person, especially if they aren't really knowledgeable about how communication works, because most people don't know that communication means that you have to keep trying and trying until you're able to properly articulate what it is that you're trying to say. But most people who aren't invested will stop, like, whatever, she ain't gonna talk to me, so I'm done. So I think just the genuine investment that you had in me and that had in the relationship between you and I was the reason that you kept trying, kept going.
Did I ever tell you the story about my second year playing ball overseas?
Uh-uh.
So I always would come home on leave in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
I would save all of my leave up and I would come home in the summertime. So I got 30 days of leave. So I would say I wouldn't take vacation or leave at all throughout the year. I only took it one time a year, and it's 30 days. And I'd fly back home to St. Louis. And so my second year playing ball overseas was summer camp. It's in the summertime. So I went ahead and came home like I normally would for 30 days, which summer camp had already started. And when I left to come to St. Louis, I was the first string cornerback. So when I came back, even though I was still in shape, I wasn't around the team. So coach had no idea what I was doing or what I could do. So he automatically dropped me to third string. Pissed me off. And it got to a point to where he knew I was still first string, but you got to work your way back into this fold. I'm not going to give it to you. You have to re-earn it. So he had me on a third string. Third string would go against the first team offense. And he did that on purpose again. I'm gonna put you on the weakest unit going against the strongest unit to see how you respond to it. And coach ran 15 plays at me. Even though we got 10 other people on this side of the ball, only thing he was interested in seeing was how I performed. And he would just run it. If I did it right, he would yell at me. If I did it wrong, he would yell at me. He just applied pressure. And it got to a point where I wanted to quit. DB coach pulled me to the side and was like, "You're not going to quit. You're the best DB I have. Bottom line, you're not going to quit." And I'm like, "Dude, coach will not let up on me." He said, "Well, son, as long as coach is yelling at you, you're okay. The moment coach stops yelling at you is when you need to worry." So as long as I was still in it with you, I was still invested in the relationship. I still saw value. He still saw value in my talent. He still saw value in me as a person. The moment that he stopped yelling at me, the moment that I stopped questioning you, that's when the relationship is over. That's when the value is no longer seen. So I just wanted to share that little ditty. Was just what you were saying was reminding me of it, where you said I just wouldn't let up, regardless on what it is that you thought, like, leave me alone, let me do my thing, you do your thing, everything will be everything.
Right.
Yes, I was tremendously vested in the process, in you as a person. You're my child, so I can't just let you walk away like that. I have to keep trying. And as a parent, hopefully you never experience this, but at some point in time, it's going to come across your mind. Can I stop? Can I just give up? And it's not easy. Parenting is not easy, but it's harder to give up than it is to keep trying, because you're just vested in the relationship. You're invested in that child. You're invested in that person. And just as this would be any relationship. If the relationship itself starts to go sour, it's not necessarily easy to walk away because of all the time that you put into that relationship. But while contemplating that, you also have to contemplate your input. What am I doing to not make this relationship work? I'm trying, but what am I trying? So I'm asking you questions, and I always ask you questions. I still ask you questions, but I had to tweak the questions that I asked you. Not that you're dumb or anything along those lines, but some questions can trigger a person. The line of question that I give you, the wording in which I choose to use, or the tone in which I choose to use while asking those questions, can cause you to completely shut down. You may not even understand why you're shutting down, but me as an individual, I have to sit back and pay attention to what it is that I said. Because I said the same thing 5 times. And every time I said the same thing 5 times, I got the same response. So Chris, you need to sit back and pay attention to how you're wording it. Because I know myself, you can ask me the same question 5 times. 4 of those questions are going to piss me off to where I don't want to talk to you. So that 5th question allows me to open up. So it's not just what you say, but how you say it. You said it 5 different ways, but you said the same thing. So yeah, that's important. That's super important, to where we ourselves have to take ownership of our participation in that relationship, and the ownership within itself, to acknowledge I could be saying something that's forcing you away from me, that's pushing you away from me, that's pissing you off, will go a long way in you seeing, because that's what happened eventually. You got an opportunity to see that my dad is not against me. Once you saw that, that caused you to go within yourself to look at, hey, maybe I need to approach the situation a little bit differently. Maybe I shouldn't be as defensive as I am because he's not being offensive.
I think the turning point for me, and I guess before I get to that, like I said, for parents, it's not easy to quit. And I think it goes the same way for children to parent relationship. And even if, let's say for our relationship at the very beginning, you could do no wrong. If you said the sky was red, and my daddy said it was red, and I don't care what you say. I see it's blue, but he said it's red, so it's red. And then I started to kind of get my own mind, and I'm just like, all right, he could be a little wrong, but he's still the king to me. So I don't want to hear what you're saying. I'm still going back on regardless until like, ugh, we are not seeing eye to eye. And it came to a point where I was just like, I'm done with this. I see you when I see you. Like, I don't really want no parts. And it's crazy how as much as I kept trying to tell myself that, I desperately wanted to be with you. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted my dad, but I did not want to argue. So I'm just like, okay, we need a couple weeks. Like, I don't need to hear from you. I want to, but I don't know how to express myself to you at this point. I don't know how to communicate to you. And I know you're going to ask me a ton of questions that I didn't have the answers to. And what made me realize that I needed to change my perspective and to give you a chance was when you said, you never asked me anything. You never asked me how I felt. You never asked me what was going on. You never asked my side. And I was like, you said that. I was like, dang it. Oh, he's right. I had an idea that your dad, I'm the child, you check into me, you look into me, and whatever I can see, that's what the image is. And especially given our circumstances, I didn't live with you every day. We didn't even live in the same state at this point. So I have no idea what's going on in your world outside of the, hey dad, how's work? The small things that I could see from where I was at. I never changed my position. I never asked at all. Like, everything was so surface level between us at that point. And mind you, this is high school age, so I didn't even know what was going on in my brain, but I never felt like I could ask those questions. Not that you didn't give me the space to, but I just didn't think that that's how it went. I thought you ask the questions, you tell me how we moving, and I just go with that. And I don't need to ask anything. And from that moment, I'm just like, okay, I can ask questions. And I realized that while I knew what you were asking me, like when you would be like, oh, so why are you crying, or what's wrong, or like the different things, I knew what you were asking me, but I didn't know how to answer. And that frustrated me. I'm like, why do you keep asking me this? Because I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what I'm feeling. Not enough in a sense to where I could articulate that. It's like I feel some type of way, but I don't know the words to describe what that way is. So just leave it alone. Like, let's just act like it don't exist. Let's get over it. And you weren't going for that. And the moment that I realized that I too can ask questions for better understanding, so that I can get a better idea of who my dad is. And when you started to ask questions that helped me formulate what it was that I'm feeling, it was just like the sparks were just there. Like, okay, wait a minute. You're not beating the same question into the ground, and I'm being more open to learning about his standpoint. I'm not just singularly focused. Like, you getting on my nerves. You hurt my feelings. Me, or what I felt like you were doing to me. It's like, how am I coming off now? Are you okay with this? Like, this exchange that we have here? Because at first it was just like, clearly we keep talking like this. Every time we like talk to each other, every time we get into an argument, it keeps happening in the same fashion. So clearly it's like his way or the highway. That was my idea of our communicating relationship. And then I was like, wait a minute, you kind of doing the same thing because you're not giving him room to explain itself or express itself, and you're not asking anything. You're not asking. You ain't checking up on nothing on that side. You just singularly focused on what's going on with you and how you feel. Yeah, you won't even tell the man how you feel. Something wrong with this picture.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment we changed that, it changed everything. The moment I took ownership in my part and realizing that can't nobody do anything to me that I'm not allowing and that I'm not aiding in based off of my actions.
Mm-hmm. So allow me to take this concept and move it out of the house and into society. And I'm going to try to do this slowly. You're a Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Black man.
Mm-hmm.
In order for our community to prosper, to grow on an optimum level, we have to understand one another. For the sake of this communication or sake of this conversation, you're an angry Black woman. So I have to find out why you're angry. But in finding out why you're angry, I have to prepare myself. I have to open myself up to take ownership for what it is that you say. Because I believe Black men and Black women, our communication is super off. Super off. I saw a post from a young lady that I respect. Saw it last night, I think. And she was talking about strong Black women. And you know my opinion on strong Black women. But you also, even when I made that post about strong Black women, I then followed up with you to ask you your opinion on that post and or what it is that you thought I was saying on that post. So we had that conversation, and that's a separate conversation. It may come up in this conversation, I don't know, but I'm not asking you about that conversation. But the young lady was saying how Black women are forced to be strong and then vilified for being strong. Black women have been placed in a situation to where they've had to step outside of their role and almost act as mother and father. And it's caused them to take on responsibilities that should not be theirs alone. So now as a Black man, I have to, in dealing with Black women, I have to ask into their plight. Why do you feel that way? What has you angry? And then I have to look at myself and what can I do to take the load off of your back to make it easier for you, to get you to understand that this is a partnership. You shouldn't have to be a strong Black woman. It's okay to be a strong woman, but you shouldn't have to be a strong Black woman. And you should be able to lean on me as a Black man and realize that together, remember what were we talking about? The portrait versus the frame. You're the portrait, I'm the frame, and we put it together and become artwork. Were you and I talking about that?
Not in that aspect. I think what we were talking about, mother and father and like their roles, and I think our reference was that the father was the framework and the mother accessorizes the house, puts in the decoration and stuff like that. So
that's what we do with children and aspects. But yes, it's still the same thing. There is, I don't want to say a role, but I'm going to say a role. There's a position in which we play. And if we have an understanding of the position in conjunction with the intended outcome, everything can work out a lot better. The woman shouldn't have to do everything. The man shouldn't have to do everything, but get together as a man and a woman and find out where our strong suits are and where our weaknesses are, and combine our forces to move forward. But we cannot combine those forces if the communication isn't there. But in getting to the point of communicating, we also have to look at our responsibilities of failed past. Maybe that man wasn't able to work with you because you were too strong. You forced him away. You wanted him to be a man, but you treated him like a boy. You wanted to be the king, but you acted like a prince. Everybody has to sit back and accept the role that they played in all of their past. The commonality in all those relationships is you.
Right.
15 different people, but you're number 16. You're the commonality in all of those 15 relationships. So there's some things about you that you have to come to terms with and realize, I need to change this. Right. I can't bring my expectations into a relationship and expect a relationship to form around my expectations. Some things you can keep, some you got to kick out. It's called cooperation. It's a co-op, but you can't be. I got a 1-bedroom apartment. You got a 2-bedroom apartment. We decided to get together and move into a 2-bedroom apartment. Can I bring all my furniture in and you bring all your furniture in? Right, because now we got 2 washing machines, 2 dryers in the space of 1 washing machine and 1 dryer. We got 3 beds, but we got 2 bedrooms. You have to come to terms. You got to come to a cooperation, but of what works for the relationship. But you have to take on the ownership. Well, I like my bed. I had that bed for 39 years or whatever the case may be. But let me also pay attention to the fact that the springs are busted in this bed. I like it, but nobody else would like to live to lay in this bed. Or the mattress is shot, but the frame is still good. Your frame is terrible, but the mattress is still good. So we'll use my frame, we'll use your mattress, put it together, and we got a bed. But we have to sit back and pay attention, close attention, and take ownership to what it is that we actually bring to the table that's good and what we're bringing to the table that's trash. We got to separate the treasure and the trash. If it's trash, get rid of it. If it's treasure, bring it on in. And then everybody can benefit from it. But we have to take on and own specifically our trash. Identify it as trash and handle it as trash. Get it out of here. Just because you used to being that way, just because that's the way you've been all this time, don't mean you bring that with you. What she say? Bag lady, you gonna miss your bus. Dragging all them bags like that. That's your trash. I shouldn't have to deal with it. But it's up to you to identify it's trash. It doesn't belong into this new relationship. It does not belong into tomorrow. Leave that in yesterday. But you look like you're itching, so let me let you talk.
Identification is something that we as people fail. And then since we're talking about Black people, I'm gonna be more specific. We be failing, y'all. We will have something so small that it may be a problem, but it's so minuscule that we don't want to label it as a problem. If it's a problem, it's a problem. Now, will this problem be big and just mess up your whole day? No, but it's still a problem. we gotta learn to properly identify what these things are. Like, labeling it is the first step. You can't fix something that you don't recognize as what it is. Stop trying to dress up these wounds and make it look good so that you won't have to call it a problem or call it an issue. No, no. That's just like putting a Band-Aid on your check engine light, because now you can't see it, or color it in with a dark marker so it blends in with the rest of the dash. So now you can't see it. That problem still exists, and eventually your car is gonna stop running. So if we talking in aspects of the angry Black woman, of the strong Black woman. Okay, let's say me, for example, I'm the strong Black woman, I'm the angry Black woman. If I don't identify that my strength is causing me problems, that my ability to care for myself, because I don't know that word that I'm looking for. What's the word? My independence is causing me a problem. If I don't recognize this as a problem, I'm gonna keep going through these relationships that I'm in because I'm too independent for my own good. Sometimes we have to step back and take ownership that, yes, I can do it, but so can he, or so can they, whoever that person in their relationship may be. So, like, pipe down a little bit. We know you're capable, but step back and let that person be a man, if that's what we're going to use this reference for. Let them help you. Let them take care of you, because all the while we on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram talking about I want somebody who can care for me. I want somebody who can do this for me. I want this and I want that, but you won't let him. And I get it, because I'm used to caring for myself. I'm used to there is nobody here right now. So, like, perfect example. My dad and my brother, they just came to visit. When they ain't here, I put my own gas. When they not here, I open my own doors. And sometimes it takes me a second to be like, oh, hold on. They like to do that. Chill out. You can wait. That split of a second is not gonna kill you. Don't touch that door. Just be patient. Like, wait a second. Breathe. You gonna be all right. Slow down. They got it. And it's not that it's belittling me. It's not that I'm less than a woman. It's that that's something that they would like to do for me. So let them do it. And we can apply that same concept in a whole lot of different scenarios. Once we recognize that, okay, if there's, like he said, if there's 15 people and I'm the 16th person, I keep running into the issue, something that I may consider a strength in me just may very well be my weakness, and just may very well be my problem. It's not going to kill me, so let me take a step back and allow that person to do exactly what it is that I wanted from the beginning anyway. Like, just pipe down a little bit. That's something we can recognize. And just that identification thing, I be talking about this all the time. If you follow me on my other channel, I'm going to have another video actually coming out today as we film this, specifically talking about that. So that's what I just meant to say this whole time.
But it's important to us as Black men to be consistent with Black women, because that's something that, I mean, you live by, you do your own thing. You are an independent woman. It's important to be independent. But okay, cool. I'm around my dad. I think all it takes, because you have your habits, you have your lifestyle. You're going, you're clicking. It's second nature to you. It's like inhale and exhale. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. But my dad's here. And that first time where you walk into that door, and I'll let you walk to that door because I'm trying to see, when is it going to kick in? When is it going to kick in? And you're on autopilot, so you go to reaching for that door, and I tell you, you put your hand on that door, you want to pop you. After that, I don't have to say it, because then you fall back into that other mode. But it's important that I be consistent with you. You know how to exist in your own space, but then now, let me get back into the space that my dad is here. Let me get into the space that my brother is here. So now, when you do get back to that position of where there is a man that's present, and I emphasize a man that's present, because there'll be a point in your life that you'll have to train him on how you operate, or how I operate within a unit, within a space. Say, pimp, I need you to come get this door. Well, where you get that from? It's the way that I was raised. This is how I am to be treated. He opens the door, and no fail. When I open the door for you, you reach across and open the door for me. Lesson taught, lesson learned. Because you're used to being whatever it is you are on your own. But as soon as I get that door for you, you snap back into position. Let me reach over and get this door for you. Because if I let you get the door by yourself and get into it, there's a real good chance that you won't reach over and open the door for me. Real good chance of it. And I don't care who's driving, I'm getting the door for you. And I don't care if it's a romantic relationship, it's a platonic relationship, or it's family relationship. If I'm around a female, I get the door for them. Because I have to remind you that there are men in this world. There are gentlemen in this world. I don't care if chivalry died, it's still alive here. So, and it forces you to pay attention to your role in the relationship. We don't have the comfort to forget that. We have to be consistent every single time. I could be mad at my woman. I could want to crash into the side on her side of the car, but I'm gonna get the door for her before I do all that. I'm gonna get the door for her before I do all that. As long as she's in that position, she's going to get that treatment. If I ran into my ex today, I'm still going to be consistent and open that door for her. I don't care what's going on. Even though she ain't my woman no more, I'm still going to, I'm not going to change as a person. And I need you to know that this is how you are to be treated, regardless on if I'm there or if I'm not there. And that's my belief, that's my thought. But I definitely have had to train women on how to be treated. But I think it's important for a woman, once she knows how she is to be treated, to have that expectation of any and every male that she comes in contact with, specifically if he calls himself trying to get to know her better. Well, this is who I am. And I ain't necessarily saying it's the highway, my way or the highway, but this right here is kind of non-negotiable, because I'm going to treat you a certain kind of way, and I need that to come back. I'm different than the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that, since we're still being specific to the Black community, I think one thing that we fail to realize is that there's no coexisting without ownership. And going back to our video on submission, is when we think of gender roles, or we just think of roles in specific relationships, we think that we're playing these roles for the person. No, we're playing these roles and maintaining these certain guidelines, if you will, to submit to the force of the relationship. In order for us to coexist, I have to do my part. Whatever my part may be, I have to play my part, play my position, play my role, rehearse these lines. I got to be on point, because one person can't carry the weight of the whole team. So we both equally need to be playing our parts, playing our roles, playing our positions. And when you come into a personal relationship, or if you're not that it's romantic, whether it's platonic, romantic, or just family relationship, when you're talking about two people in a force, naturally you guys learn what position is yours. That, okay, this person is good at this, so they take the lead on that. This person is good at that, so they take the lead on that. Or this person expects this, so I fall in suit, like I fall in line where I belong. And we get so caught up in that ain't my job. That's your job. That's your position. That's your role because you think that they're supposed to cater and play a role specific for you specifically because you're making it about you and not about the union and not about making this force as efficient and as powerful as it could possibly be. So if we take ourselves out of it and take that idea that I'm submitting to him or I'm submitting to her specifically, one, it'll seem like less of a, like you're trying to play me. And after we get so caught up in trying to be on top or trying to be powerful or trying to make a statement that we messing up all the foundational work on this house that we trying to build together, on this bond that we trying to build together, this relationship that we trying to build together because we're singularly focused. We're not taking ownership in our part and our role in what we play. We're messing everything up. If we always keep in mind that coexistence without ownership doesn't exist, and submitting to a force versus submitting to a person, we won't even be worried about if somebody trying to play us or not. We will look at it as, instead of him trying to show me up, he's trying to help me. It's all about changing this perspective for I have to do this versus I get to do this. Just depending on how you look at it. And if we don't take that first step in owning our part, owning our position and playing it well, we'll never coexist. We'll always be butting heads. We'll always be fighting. We'll just be two people in the same place at the same time. We won't be a unit. We won't be together at that point.
So, with all that being said, it's one of two directions in which we can go. Because we are very, very specific in what it is that we're talking about, very, very specific in who we're talking about. But this conversation has to make it to America. So, is that going to be a different episode or is that going to be the same episode?
I think we can make that a different episode. Y'all gotta wait for that. We might film it today. We might not. You never know. You just gotta keep on watching. It's definitely a lot of episodes gonna spiral out of this one.
You said what?
I said a lot of different episodes gonna spiral out of this one because there's a lot of points that we can elaborate on a lot more.
Right. So, in that case, I think this is the opportune time for us to go ahead and bring this episode of Daddy Daughter Talks, the podcast, to a close. And we can only do that in the fashion in which we know how to do it. But before we do it, of course, this is free content. So don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe so you will be in tune with what's going on. You don't have to look out for us. We'll come tell you that we got some new stuff here. We got some new heat. So subscribe to make sure you can keep up with Daddy Daughter Talks podcast. Always hit that like button to let us know we're doing right. We always love comments. It's like Yelp. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong so we can then improve on it. And then most important to me, I don't know about you, Kelsey, but most important to me, share. Share the content. It's free. If you like it, you get benefit from it, please share it. Send the message out to others that may benefit if you felt like you benefited. And with that being said, Daddy Daughter, out.